Joining us now, you can catch him on Cofield and Company and ESPN Las Vegas, Monday through Friday, 3 to 6 p.m. Also, Cofield and Company Late Night Pod, Wednesday and Thursday at 9 p.m. A Las Vegas, dare I say, radio legend, Steve Cofield. How you doing, bud?
I'm good. A staple of Las Vegas radio who's not been pushed out by more talented people yet. Is that a good way to put it? You know what's funny about that is I've been told so many times when Major League Sports came here, I'd be in big trouble and the real talent would come to the market. So
yeah,
I don't know what's happening.
Yeah. Well, they're still hanging on.
Yeah, apparently right. That means the athletics. Once the that's the turning point, right? Not a hockey team, not an NFL team. Once a baseball team's there, then you're screwed. I remember having this conversation with our guest and the guy that's on your show all the time, Adam Hill. And I was like, what's it like working a market? This is back when there was no pro teams. What's it like working a market with no pro teams? It's got to suck. He's like, no, it's awesome. Because we literally just talk about what we want. Like, what's the national story? And then gambling. He's like, it's great. That's
what we did. National sports talk and gambling. And I will say now there are times that we have to force stuff in, which we shouldn't do, but because, you got to get your Raiders fix or your VGK fix, even if there's nothing super scintillating going on.
And also working in Vegas, like if you would have told, 14-year-old RJ, like you would have a job where you will be paid to talk sports while drinking beer in a strip club, I'd be like, oh my God, that's the best thing ever. How many shows do you do inside of a female strip club every year? Because it blows me away, Cofield, how good your gig is.
Yeah, we're a little down from where we used to be, so we probably do. Well, COVID obviously hurt it the last couple of years, but in a given year, we could probably do 25. But honestly, we used to have years where we would do,
Jesus,
out of 260, we could do 125 in strip clubs, live show for 3 hours.
What the fuck?
It's you know what? It's once you do it,
you're jaded already by it.
Yeah, no, once you do it, you get. I mean, come on, there are guys who go to strip clubs to. I mean, this is going to sound crazy to just go drink and then talk to the ladies every once in a while. They're not walking around with boners the whole time. So once you're doing a show, you just do it. I tell everyone on the market, it's like a sports bar. If you want to come in and act like a lunatic, I mean, there's just some women dancing and some of them might be topless. No big deal.
No big deal, he says. It's always funny to me how COVID was shut down the strip clubs, and it's like that's like not even top 10 diseases I'm worried about when I'm at a titty bar. But yet,
that is a good point. So again, I sound very desensitized and jaded, but no, Vegas is freaking awesome. And we used to have, we had a gigantic budget for radio advertising with the strip clubs, but yeah, it's a good perk. And there was a lot more in the old days too. A lot more.
I bet. Yeah. Well, now that the Raiders are in town, I mean, it's been right. They just finished their second season, first one with fans. How much has Las Vegas really embraced the Raiders? Because the tickets are expensive, but is it all just you're already laughing, right?
Well,
internally, what do you make?
Yeah, I think it's hard to gauge because so many people come from outside the market for the games,
Yeah.
LA people and then Northern California people come in, and then there's Raider Nation beyond that, and then the opposing fans who are coming in. But I guess the best sign of how we're embracing it at the stadium is I would say most games were somewhere between 70-30 and 50-50 Raiders fans on the first number. Mm-hmm. On the ground, I don't know, man. I think they're going to need to be here for 10 years. They're going to need to win. You're going to have a whole generation of kids grow up with them. And then I think 10 years from now, there's going to be a lot of hardcore Raider fans here. But it's a weird town. It's just like you guys deal with, right? I defend LA all the time because people outside of LA bash LA. Well, one, you guys didn't have football after the Raiders, but especially the Rams left. So it's like a whole generation of kids, they didn't have a football team. And then you have transplants like we do. The entire town are transplants. I already had a team. Everyone my age, we already had a team. But I mean, if they win, if McDaniels works out and Derek Carr is good for however long he's here, which is a good topic, right? No, more people are going to start rooting for him, and then you're going to see more interest in the local businesses, and bars will pick them up. But I can tell you right now, a lot of bars, not that they won't put the Raiders game on, but it's not the feature game at bars. And I go to, we go to football bars all the time to watch games. They're not the feature game yet. They just haven't been here this long. And it's funny, there are Raiders fans. Who's the guy with the freaking shoulder pads and the spikes, and he just went to the Hall of Fame? Wears number 57, whatever his name is, the Violator or something like that.
Yeah.
Not to disrespect him, but halfway through the season, he was bitching and moaning about the environment at the stadium. And he's like, it's not loud enough here. These fans aren't into it. Dude, you just got here. And here's the other thing. And Like these Raiders fans who are coming in won't say it. Like, you also came to the market, and Mark Davis is like, yeah, man. By the way, can I cuss at all?
As much as you fucking want.
I'll just say Mark Davis is like, fuck it. Whatever we can get for these tickets, we're going to get.
Yeah.
Well, they set the prices at like $75K for a PSL, $35K. Well, who do you think the first round of PSLs are going to go to? It's wine and cheese people, man. They ain't freaking Raider Nation. They're not looking to brawl. They're not screaming their guts out. It's just, it's going to take time. I don't know why I went into like immediately like, well, fuck you, man. Vegas is cool. Early in the season, it pissed me off when Derek Carr's like, man, we got to teach these fans when to cheer and when not to cheer. Like, bruh, half the crowd is cheering against you. You don't have to teach us. We've been betting football. We know about football. You're not going to teach us when to cheer and not. Tell Mark Davis to lock out the opposing fans, but you can't do that.
Yeah. Well, it's like, like LA just won the Super Bowl and no one knows or cares. Like, I'm with you, right? Like, I'm with you. Like, literally the Rams just won the fucking Super Bowl in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Nobody cares. Like, you ask around, there's no buzz in the town, right? Like, it's just how it is.
Well, I will say Vegas has the potential because we already have it. Like, there is a Vegas loyalty once you're here, unless you're one of these people who's, bounces into the town. We have this big turnover rate where people come here and they can't survive. But the people who are here really like a lot of things about Las Vegas. And that's why the Golden Knights work. Like, the Golden Knights have a good core of fans. I mean, they buy their stuff. They're super loyal. They're all pissed off at VGK management when they move on from players and coaches. And it's like, yeah, that's the way hockey is. Like, no, we get to keep the same guys for 6 years. Like, no, you don't. But I mean, I could see, because the Raiders image matches Vegas, like, 5 years, 8 years, 10 years, maybe it's even advanced. If they win at a high level, there's going to be a good Raiders fan base here.
Well, I mean, second year there, you guys going to the playoffs. I mean, the Knights got the Knights won Stanley Cup the first year.
First season.
Jeez.
They went there. They runner up. They went there.
Runner up.
Yeah.
Well, still, man, shit.
I know.
What the fuck you want?
I know.
You get kind of lucky over there, shit.
Yep.
How much is that part of it with obviously, like, no matter what market you're in, winning helps, right? But is that a massive, like in LA, like if you don't win, no one cares.
Yeah, it's massive.
You have to win in LA. Is it the same in Vegas?
Yep, it's massive in Vegas. And now there's a lot of competition. Like, UNLV controlled things here forever. So even when UNLV after Tark was kind of ordinary, they could still get crowds of 10, 12, 15,000. UNLV
it's crazy.
I mean, I wasn't here. I got here in 96, but I can only imagine when this town was only like 700,000 people. It's like 2.3 million now. Mm-hmm. When this town was 700,000 and we were like this evil outpost of sin, and UNLV is like breaking all the rules and breaking all the norms, and you got this team that's up and down. I mean, it must have been so friggin' cool.
Get Larry Johnson on the phone. We'll talk to him.
I know, right? And those guys are legends, and people love them. But yeah, once you get ingrained in Vegas, there's going to be a hardcore following. I think we're a very loyal town.
I mean, it's also just like,
you gotta win.
That's the thing, right? Like, I wonder if Vegas is just super spoiled because the Knights went to the Cup in the very first season. Like, totally. Imagine being like a 9-year-old or like a 7-year-old, right? And you're like, oh, there's a team. It's like, oh yeah, like we go to the Stanley Cup. That's just what happens, right?
Hockey's
like,
easy.
It's easy, right? Like, I waited 49. I was only 35, but like I waited, 49 years for the Kings to win the Cup, right? Like, it's when hockey was my number one sport in like middle school, right? Before I found Cup, it was like my number one thing. Like, almost my, hopefully a third of my life waiting for this to happen. And it already happens with Vegas. You think that's part of it too, is that Vegas is just so spoiled by the Knights that just like, oh, well, what? Huh? Out of the playoffs.
Yeah, they set the standard, right? I mean, there are people here who are like, let's go, Stanley Cup, come on. Like, okay, they're barely into their existence. Like, you don't get to go to the conference finals or Stanley Cup final every year. It ain't that easy. By the way, I will fire out the shot, though, and I know it's not a hockey podcast, but I love the fact that the Kraken suck. Right? Because that's I'm not even like a giant hockey guy, but I was like, can we give credit to the team they put together? These guys drafted a brilliant team and fleeced all these other teams around the league, and the Kraken blow with basically the same rules. They couldn't draft the Knights, but beyond that, they're terrible.
Yeah, it was such a weird season. Like, not a hockey podcast, but like, it's not like the Knights got this all-star team. It's just they just got normal guys that played all-star level. Like, they just, like, it was unbelievable how these guys, like, he's like, oh wow, we just built a culture. What, in the last 45 minutes? Like, how did you make this amazing hockey team? It's nuts.
Yep. And you've noticed, like, a lot of the guys who left, there were some decent trades, right? Got some big guys back, but there were some other guys who left, and it was like they're just ordinary guys. They just worked out here. They're kind of just, run of the mill dudes in their new spots.
I wonder if part of it is like, is it a trap game in Vegas for opposing teams? Because you're like in Vegas. Does it kind of? Do you ever see that?
One, the Knights or the Raiders? What do you think?
Anybody? I mean, Raiders specifically, but there's obviously a larger sample size with the Knights.
Yeah, I think the first year the Knights absolutely got the Vegas flu. Teams that came in got the Vegas flu.
Yeah,
like they enjoyed it a little too much, and if they didn't get it and show the effect on the ice here, their next stop after here, they might have been a disaster. So I think the NFL is so buttoned up. Put aside the Raiders' problems this year away from the field, but I think the NFL is so buttoned up, and they're going to be paying attention so much. The guys not jerking around. That there shouldn't. Maybe at the end of seasons, maybe when teams are out of it, then they might be dead fish when they come to town. But I think the NFL is so professional that you're not going to have too many guys jerking around.
Leave Alvin Kamara alone.
Well, I mean that's it's a good example, right? The Pro Bowl means nothing, so Alvin Kamara was like, I'll go out and fuck around, and we'll
beat the shit out of some guy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they planned on beating some guy down, but
I
don't think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be a big home field advantage, the Vegas part of it. So, and hopefully it cleans up eventually where we'll have like 70-30 fan base, pro Raiders for every game.
So I was Vegas like a second home to me, right? I'm there 40 times a year, right? Love Las Vegas. And what I said, what I thought would happen is what happened to me when I first started working in Vegas and just would work there 2-3 times a year. Yeah. I'd go nuts, right? Like, I have to work the next sport. I'm going to the strip club. I'm gambling. Yep. Like I'm in Vegas. I'm acting like I'm in Vegas. 45 trips later, like every single weekend, it's like, I got my Thai spot close by, stay off the strip, get to work, back to business. And that's what I thought would happen with the Raiders is like, oh man, they're going to go nuts. It's like, well, maybe to start, but they'll live there. They'll not live on the strip. Like they'll eventually get their act together. And I defended Vegas this whole time when people were saying like, oh man, they're going to go nuts. Yeah. And I defended them with Josh Jacobs' first DUI. I defended them with Henry Ruggs. But then once it kept going and we had this conversation, like I was literally texting you after Ruggs saying, hey, it's not Vegas's problem. This, Ruggs was going golfing. Like this could have happened anywhere. And I remember texting you. I said, it's not like he was caught out in front of Dre's at 5 a.m. What happened to Nate Hobbs? Caught out in front of Dre's drunk at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
Is Vegas to blame? Because you'll find trouble anywhere, but is it an issue to you?
Okay, so you will get almost no media people here to say this because they've all been hardcore firing back. It's not Vegas's fault. Yeah, we take a little bit of blame. This place can be crazy. Mm-hmm. And you notice, aside from Kamara, and I don't know how old the guys how old they were, the guys that he was hanging out with, but you do notice a trend of the guys with the Raiders who got in trouble. They were younger guys, right? Yeah. Jacobs a younger guy, Hobbs is a rookie, Ruggs. I mean, I will say with Ruggs. And I don't know this has really come out yet, and I hope this is examined more now that Mayock is gone. But this whole like, oh, he's a great guy. I mean, he did act like an asshole in his car a lot.
Yeah.
And there were reports that like there were times he's driving like a lunatic. And if you guys have ever been to the facility, the practice facility, their main facility, their headquarters, like it's in the middle of Henderson. Like you shouldn't be driving 85 miles an hour on those roads either. And the road he got into an accident on is ridiculous. It's Rainbow, and Tropicana. It's a complete residential area. But again, the link between all of them and Arnette, they were all young. And honestly, with Arnette, I don't know. I guess Mayock, maybe they had too much confidence in their evaluation. But like, bruh, you can't tell us afterwards that we knew Arnette had character issues, and then you bring him here. It's like you're asking for it.
You're asking to get fired.
and then Ruggs is hanging out with Arnette. Like, what do you think is going to happen? So, yes, I will defend Vegas. I think you get in trouble a lot of places, RJ. Mm. Right? And I've seen, hey, you and I were, I don't think I was part of it, but, you can go to a bar in New York and all of a sudden, guys are rolling around on the floor, ready to brawl. You can get in trouble. I'm not saying that happened, but you can get in trouble anywhere, but it's next level here. And if you bring in guys who are a little susceptible, a little bit immature, they're going to get caught.
Yeah, I definitely feel like that has to be in the back of the mind of management moving forward. Yeah. That has to be part of not a major part of the equation, but it should be a part of the equation. Are we drafting character guys? Are we not? Do we have to, organize some, like, I don't know what you want to call it, just like an awareness group. Like they have all these, you have a mental health meeting, you have all these meetings, right? Is there some sort of like, hey, call this number? Like you shouldn't have to do that for adults, but I think that has to be in the back of the mind of everyone at the Raiders these days. Like it's 3
I think
players
the Raiders,
in 1 year period.
I think the Raiders have to be extra careful. Now, will they? I don't know. This was like one of my only issues with the Patriots brass coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Dave Ziegler comes from a program, and McDaniels especially, where, it was, I mean, they want character guys, but they also can be win at all costs. And we saw the worst case scenario with Aaron Hernandez, where they, in some ways, it kind of enabled him by covering for him for a while. Yeah. So I hope these guys respect what happened here already and kind of the dangers of Vegas. And they should be getting high character guys anyway. If you want to take a chance here or there, you can. But Vegas is different than Kansas City. And fuck, man, Kansas City, they're still getting in trouble, right? Yeah. They're still having issues. The freaking Reed's son,
Reed's son, that guy killed his baby mama, right? And killed himself, right? Wasn't that a Kansas
well, that was that
right.
one I wouldn't blame on,
I'm not saying that, but like there's issues.
Party time. Yeah, he had issues, but the Chiefs have kind of taken over that. The Raiders for years with the guys, they would, hey, let's bring in guys. We can deal with them. We can do the reclamation, and we'll be wild and crazy. But Andy Reid, he has confidence that his system works, and guys still get in trouble there. So,
who's like the number one player in Vegas? Like, who's like the team's number one guy? Because like Derek Carr is so polarizing. Hunter Renfrow is like the guy you want to root for, but I think it's Maxx Crosby. I think he's like Mr. Yeah, you think so in Vegas?
Without
Mr.
question.
Vegas?
Without question. Yep.
Oh, really? That dominant.
Yeah. I mean, he's good. He's got kind of an edge. He's got kind of an edge too. He's got the pit bull. He's got the pit bull charity.
Raider tattoo.
He's super productive. He's immensely popular. And then, Waller's not as outgoing, but Darren Waller is really, really popular. And obviously this last year, I haven't seen a uniform tracking sales number, chart, but I would assume Hunter Renfrow is probably doing really freaking well. So, and on Carr, here's the thing. Don't get caught up in, I'm not trying to sound lectury here because I got to remind myself of this all the time. Twitter's a tool, but it's not representative of an entire fan base or an entire world view on something.
Yeah.
So just because Derek Carr is really polarizing on social media in Raider Nation, I think your casual fan, he's a quarterback on the local team and he's good. So I think Derek Carr he does most things right. And the other one, and no one want to have to do this, but he did get a major bump up or feather in his cap with the way he handled his leadership role when all that stuff was going on with Gruden, then Jacob, I'm sorry, not Ruggs, then Arnette. I mean, he had to go out there, especially around the Ruggs thing, and speak day after day after day. So I think he scored a lot of points with people.
I hope I don't sound like super insensitive and shitty here.
Here we go.
It feels.
Here we go.
It's like when your two superstars are Darren Waller and Maxx Crosby. It's like I'm so happy that they're sober, got their lives in order. First as men, second, like they're clearly playing better. But like those are Mr. Vegas, the two sober guys. Like what happened to like the Ken Stabler days where you're partying all night, throw 4 touchdowns the next day? Seems like kind of a waste. Should be the party guys being Mr. Vegas's.
Unfortunately, the party guys went a little over the line, right?
They're
went a lot over the line.
They party too hard.
Ruggs, because it's funny the way you mentioned it earlier. Like Ruggs was playing golf. Well, I mean, he was hanging out at Top Golf, and you can drink and drink and drink and drink, and then he followed that up by going somewhere else and drank more. So that was a bad mix. I mean, I'm sure eventually we're going to get some rock star guy, a quarterback or wide receiver or whatever, cornerback, a big personality. But yeah, right now Crosby is a big personality, though. I mean, I know his story's turned into a really cool story because he was having alcohol issues, but his story is amazing. I mean, the fact that they got him that late in the draft, then he gets himself clean and then hits another level this year. And with another big year, I mean, he's probably on the verge of getting some kind of monster contract for $17 to $24 million a year. So good for him.
How much are you buying into the Mark Davis is broke and that's why we don't sign giant stars? Like by NFL owner standards, right?
I don't buy it at all now. If that's the excuse now,
okay,
that's a crock of shit. And if I were Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler, and I know the Patriots brass didn't always break the bank, but if they have some sort of limitations, that's ridiculous. Now, come on, Mark Davis he's swimming in money. He might not be the most responsible with his money because he's really enjoying himself, and he actually bought the Aces. He bought the WNBA team, so I'm not sure that that's really a moneymaker. No, they have. unless there's something we don't know about with all the Bedane stuff that makes he's still cash poor. I think they have plenty of money, but I guess we'll find out, right?
Yeah,
we'll find out. I mean,
big contracts coming up.
But here's the difference. Have you heard anyone say the debate over what you do with Derek Carr is, are you going to give him $30 million a year, 35, 40? And when we talk about it and when it's spoken about with media people, I have not heard one time that, oh man, they can't guarantee the money or they can't give the big bonus. Now, you definitely heard that with Khalil Mack.
Yeah.
And I think it was the case with both Khalil Mack and Amari Cooper. Mm-hmm. Risk reward, and they were like, man, I don't know if we really have, whatever it is, whatever guarantee we had to put in escrow, we don't have 40 or 50 mil, 30 mil to put out there for these players. Now, I think our situation has changed so much. They are making so much money. Keep in mind,
a couple $70,000 PSLs will turn your bank account around real quick.
Well, yeah, they have all those PSLs, right? Because I think they were trying to God, I'm going to get the numbers wrong. I thought it was like $350 million expected from PSLs, and they wound up making like $550 instead. And then their suite sales were going so well. I think they started out, and the initial number was like 111, and they wound up pushing it to like 133. And those things are super expensive. And keep in mind, the stadium that we built in partnership, right? The Vegas taxpayers in partnership with the Raiders and the Allegiant Stadium management is doing a brilliant job of booking lots of events. Like we have crazy shit coming up. First of all, college football wants to be here a lot. We just had WrestleMania. We're getting, are they called BT Bright or something? There's some K-pop band that's coming here. And I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. April 8th and 9th and 14th and 15th. I'm like,
and they're gonna pack that shit. Watch.
Yeah, like are they gonna get 60,000 for K-pop 4 times? There's so many events coming. We have the
Metallica on Friday. I was thinking about going to.
That's at Allegiant?
At Allegiant this Friday, yeah.
Jesus, I can't believe I didn't know that with McKinnell, right? I'm sure he's been blowing it up.
That's who told me.
Yeah, we have the country music show coming. I'm sure they're gonna get like 30,000 for that. So it's all that money. Long story short, it's all the money that the stadium's now generating for Mark Davis and company as well. So they should have no cash flow issues.
Have you seen his fanny pack? His white fanny pack?
Right?
He has a white leather fanny pack.
Fashion icon.
Swimming in money.
He is. Well, I think he spends a lot, but then he's thrifty on other things. So I'm pretty sure he did get rid of he had like a 93 Caravan for years.
He has a Mini Cooper
Caravan. Mini Cooper, yep.
Yeah.
I don't know if he travels for the haircut anymore. I know he used to go from Northern California to somewhere in like Central California to get the haircut. So
I get it just right.
Dude, he's a fascinating character. People didn't know this. But while he initially started building some like $15 million house on the west side of town in Summerlin, and then was like, I don't like the view, and it's not close enough to the facility. So he sold out of that, and then he's building like this. I'm sure you guys have seen the picture. It basically looks like it looks like the stadium out in Henderson. So I mean, he's spending a shit ton of money. He's a fascinating dude, though. I still don't exactly know who he is and what his role, in the organization is, but it's going to be worth the follow. I know that.
Well, he's got this weird, like, goobery behavior and look to him, right?
Acid wash jeans, baby. Those acid wash jeans.
I know, right?
Right? Like how he looks, obviously, one, like he looks like a giant baby Huey with like a bowl haircut. And then like he looked like a little kid showing his friends his like Stretch Armstrong when he's introducing Ziegler and McDaniels at the press conference, right? He's like all giddy and stuff. So like, all right, who's this goober? But he fleeced. Who's that Vegas billionaire that he like fleeced to get?
Sheldon Adelson,
right? He fleeced him to get to Vegas. Got the most money ever for a stadium out of a was it city or county or state, right? We got $750 million. Like he's pulled some business moves, right? Like don't be fooled by the gooberness.
And that all said, like I don't like the numbers, but what the stadium's brought to the market is awesome, and it's going to get even awesomer. And I'll also say, you know what? If you're going to have an owner, you tell me how many owners in the NFL are relatable to you. Like, who do you think would be cool?
Probably just Kraft for getting jerked off at a massage parlor.
I mean, he does. That's a good line. He does, and he does have a lot of young friends, so he must party. He must be cool, but he's also like 80. But like, and Jerry Jones seems the same way. Although it feels like he just jumped up like 15 years in age the last couple of years. He's starting to slow down. But beyond that, like who? Stan Kroenke? Like, Kroenke's fucking Mr. Potter from goddamn It's a Wonderful Life. Like he'll foreclose on you. And a lot of the guys you don't even see. The McCaskies in Chicago. I mean, you got the lady is like 100. Her son, who it's a total nepotism life. He's like 73. Like, who's really relatable? Like, there's no Mark Cubans in the NFL. Like, Mark Cuban is cool, and you can see he's drinking with Mark Cuban, but there's not many. And Mark, he's a strange guy, but I mean, I think you're like, hey,
his love for the Raiders is like,
he loves the Raiders,
tangible, right? Like he's just
like
a fan, right?
To a fault. And he even said,
true.
I love the players. And he had a line that was almost like kind of heartbreaking. I'm like, God, your dad was kind of a shithead to you. He said something to the effect of like, my dad always told me I'd never be a good owner because I love the players too much. And I'm like, okay, well, Al, easy, But to me that's a little bit relatable. And the other reason he's relatable for me, and I defend him a lot on the air, is I feel like he's rich, but he's not like the ultra rich, like these sons of bitches around the league, who run like evil companies. And we've heard stories too about basically they're like, Mark, shut the fuck up. Like at owners meetings, get out of here. He's kind of like,
you see the owners meetings, like everyone's wearing a freaking like $10,000 suit, and he's wearing a white Raider starter jacket and a backpack.
Got a shiny starter jacket.
I need that jacket.
He just go to the first day of school.
The hair freshly cut. So I like him. And he's very pro Vegas. So
well, wealth is always, it's subjective, right? Like you only feel rich or poor based on the people around you. You know what I'm saying? Like you hear all the time, like people growing up, like, yeah, we were poor, but we didn't know it because everyone was poor, right? It's all kind of subjective.
Hey, real quick, do you think where do you think Dana White is now?
Like
relatable,
not
relatable.
Oh.
No, relatable, not relatable. Does he still come off enough as a regular guy? I think he does with a lot of the fan base.
I don't think so.
I think
he tries to, but no, I don't think so.
I think this goes back to your Twitter conversation where like on Twitter, he's public enemy #1, right? Fighter paste trash, evil empire. He got his 400 million. Like, seriously, once a month it's brought up that he got artificial snow for his kid's birthday in Vegas one time. It's like, he got something for his kid that no one else can, right?
Yeah,
but I think like just general fan bases, very similar to Mark Davis. He just loves fighting. He doesn't love the players the way that Mark Davis does. Like he doesn't love the fighters the same way.
Yeah.
But I think it just comes off as just like a genuine organic fan to enough people, or he's not as relatable as Mark Davis, but there's that part of it. It's fair to say.
By the way, one more.
Company man towing the company line over here.
What did I say that was wrong? What did I say that was incorrect?
No, he's right. He's right. If if you're on Dana's right side, if you're an average Joe, he's still a regular guy. I mean, the fight against the fighters is kind of crazy. I don't know what's happened there, but subject for another podcast. But all right, I'm going to take over the podcast now. Is Derek Carr? If Derek Carr gets $35 million a year, is he still the people's quarterback? Is he still relatable, or does he now put himself in a position where people are going to be like, dude, that's a big chunk of the team's budget. Time to win at the highest level.
You won't be relatable to Soto.
No, I mean, I RJ likes to push this narrative that I hate Derek Carr. I don't hate Derek Carr.
Yeah, you push it yourself.
Nah,
pretty good job on your own.
Look. I like when I come on the show, I like to be very objective. But RJ likes to push my buttons too. He likes to jerk my twist my nuts a little bit.
That doesn't sound
RJ.
Like me at all.
Yeah,
that
RJ.
Sound like me at all.
No. The thing is I feel like Derek Carr is way too inconsistent to build a team around to give him a huge chunk of your cap, because he's proven that he needs a lot more around him than we've given him to be successful consistently. That's how I feel. And if you give him that big of a chunk, you're not giving yourself a chance, because he's shown you who he is over the years. And you've tried to make him that guy before. You try to make him the highest paid quarterback. You try to give him that huge chunk, and he's shown you that he can't be that guy to erase a lot of those mistakes, being that guy that eats up a bigger chunk. That's how I feel.
Like when we talk wins and losses and the Raiders in general, like, or strip clubs or food or Soto's nipples, I get very impassioned, right? But when it comes to like the cap and salaries, I'm like an economics professor, right? To have a franchise quarterback in the NFL, the going rate is $35 million. Like that's just the economics of the NFL. Like it sucks. Like I don't want to spend that much cap on our quarterback either, but that's to have a franchise quarterback. Like that is the economics. He was the highest paid quarterback in football 4 seasons ago. He's going to be 15th next season. Like that's just where it's going. If we give him $35 million, it's going to sound like a lot now. Mark my words, in 2 seasons, it'll be a bargain. In 3 or 4 seasons, it'll be a steal. Like guaranteed.
Damn.
That's just how the math is going.
You're not getting blocked by Camp Carr, by Team Carr. You must be. You're safe. The rest of us are blocked, but you know.
Are you really? Are you
No,
blocked by Team
I'm
Carr?
not. I'm not. They don't even know who the hell I am. No, but Adam Hill, our buddy, he's blocked. Much of the media in Vegas is blocked by everyone in Camp Carr. So,
Yeah.
Do you think his brothers help or hurt him? I know it's hard. It's like when you're blocked by him, you get like pissed off right away.
Yeah.
Like, but do you think they help or hurt him with how they handle him?
I think in the big picture, they're kind of a non-factor. Again, I think that's like a super hardcore thing. Derek does. I mean, on the local level, Derek does enough to hold the fan base back with some of the stuff he says.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's going to say kind of what he thinks he needs to say, but when they start losing, he comes a little unraveled. So I would love to see him just be above the fray, but you know, you can tell he reads his stuff, which, dude, don't punch down. What's the point? It's not gonna help you. But on the contract thing, I agree with RJ to a certain extent. I would have spent the last couple of months, and they may have done it. I would have spent the last couple of months coming up with game plans to try to get one of the guys who might be available who's an upgrade. And I would be working on flipping Derek Carr to get some of those picks that I need to go get Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson or even Deshaun Watson.
Yeah. You're totally right. The Raiders painted themselves in a corner. Like they had no decent backup plan. Like they didn't have any sort of backup young quarterback they were kind of developing.
Well, that's true.
Nathan Peterson and Marcus Mariota. Like Mariota's going to be gone.
But it's not. But RJ, it's not done yet. The combine's coming up. No movement's happened yet. Rodgers hasn't made a decision. Really, Russell Wilson hasn't put forth that stuff that he started to put forth last year, which is get me the hell out of here. And
he doesn't want to be there. He doesn't want to be there.
I don't think he does. And Deshaun Watson, we don't know. I mean, I think it's going to get cleared up here in the next 2 months. And then right there's 3 guys who might be available. And then the other part of it is, I mean, at a minimum, you have to go around the league and you go to these teams that are in trouble with their quarterbacks. Buccaneers, kind of out of nowhere, right? Bucks, Colts, Steelers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hell, maybe Seattle, if the Russell Wilson thing, even if he goes somewhere else. And then at that point, if there's a market of 4 or 5 teams that want Carr, what do they get back? Like, is it a second and a third? Well, then no. Then I'm not interested in that. Are we talking a first? Multiple first? And then all of a sudden I've got some ammo here where I can make the upgrade to these other quarterbacks. So I still think there's a lot of stuff to play out. And then there's a negotiation. Like, are you given? I'm fine if Derek Carr adds $35 million a year for 2 additional years onto this contract, and it's all guaranteed, right? 3 years and like whatever it is, $92 million. It's guaranteed. Is he going to take that? Does he believe there are other teams out there that are going to give him like a 5-year deal for, what would that be? Like $175 million a year? Because I don't think I would do that.
Well, it all depends. Would Derek Carr play next season on a non-guaranteed contract, year 5?
There's no way he's going to do that.
That's what I'm saying.
And as an organization, I'd be like, I'd probably tell him you're an idiot. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Here's guaranteed money. Here's $95 million guaranteed for the next 3 years. But to me, only we've seen with Carson Wentz, like there's the special guys in this league. There's 5 or 6 of them. They get 5, 6, 7-year deals. The Carson Wentzes of the world and Derek Carr, I don't know, man. I don't think I would give him a 5-year deal. Not with most of it guaranteed. I'll give you 3 guaranteed.
Yeah, he already got his 5-year deal. It's like, look, man, you got your 5-year deal, and I feel like I understand Artie's going to say all he wants to say about all these excuses that he has. I'm talking about Derek Carr specifically, himself and his play, what I've seen from his play. I've seen every one of his snaps on coaching film. No crowd noise. I'm not tied to any type of result or anything, just his throws. I've seen who he is. I've seen what his strengths are and his deficits are. He's not that guy. that you can just be a centerpiece to erase a lot of mistakes on your roster. He's not that guy. He needs a lot more. And to give him that much money over that many years, that's just not the move for me.
Yeah. Well, now, you know, by the way, I just want to say real quick, you notice what I'm talking about here, right? It's length of deal and it's total money.
Yes.
Year by year thing. Like people are going to start getting in this argument of like 30 million, 35 million, 40 million. Everyone's got to stop doing this. The 99.9% of the people, most people cover this. You're not capologists. All right. So we really have no fucking idea how any of this works, because if we did, then everyone who told me the Rams, they mortgage their future, they're screwed. Like, they're not screwed. They keep winning. And the Chiefs keep signing guys for 18 mil plus, and Mahomes is coming up on 40.
Mahomes' cap hit was like 7.5 million this year. How the fuck did that happen?
Well, that too.
On a $500 million deal.
Right. Like, yeah, he's making all this money, but it's cap friendly somehow. So, like, when people start talking about the numbers, you don't know what you're talking about. You're not NFL capologist, which, by the way, I don't ever want to hear that excuse again with the Raiders about the cap this or the cap that, because you got a team in your division that makes it work. You got a team down the road that makes it work. Mm-hmm. If you don't have someone who's good enough with the cap to fudge the numbers or get around the system, then get someone else.
Yep.
Well, it's the last thing with Carr. Again, I just think pure economics of the quarterback. Like, take Derek Carr's face off of the number 4 jersey and just be like, all right, top 12, whatever we want to rank him quarterback, right? 5-year deal, because 3 or 4 years from now, it's going to be a steal, just like it is this time. That's just the economics of how quarterbacks aren't getting cheaper, right? When Joe Burrow's contract comes up, Justin Herbert's contract comes up, he's going to be $50-60 million a year quarterbacks in the next few seasons. Watch.
My worry would be at 36, 37 years old, 34, 35, whatever it is, 35, 36. Is he, just because we've got some old quarterbacks who played really well past 35, doesn't mean every guy who passes 35 is going to be
he's only 30, right? So if he does a 5-year deal,
so 5-year deal, he's 35,
which is
I worry about the fumbling. That's another thing. I don't know how he cleans it. I don't know how you fix that.
The thing is my thing is not just the fumbling. My big thing is the touchdowns to total turnover ratio. It's not great. He was 24-21 this year. And it's like you have to take a look at that too. And RJ's like, oh, now you're just playing mental gymnastics and blah, blah, blah. I was like, no, dude, that's huge. That's huge when you look at it. If you look trying to make this guy elite quarterback, pay him all this money. Yeah, if he turns the ball over, great. Is he throwing a lot of touchdowns? Like, what's the trade-off here, And it's like, look, I'm saying this. You got a guy coming in here. You got Josh McDaniels coming in here. He's the quarterback guy. He's the offensive guy. You don't want to saddle this guy. It's great to say, yeah, give him 5 years when it's not your fucking job on the line. Okay? You got a guy in here, and if Derek Carr proves, if you give him a 2-year extension, so his year he has plus 2 more, if he proves to you in a year or 2 years that, hey, this is the guy that I think I can build this guy moving forward, then pay him whatever the hell he wants, because he's going to be worth it if he's that guy. Pay him more because he's going to be that guy at that point. If he's not that guy at that time, then you can move on from him then, and you're not tied to those extra years on a guy that's not going to be that guy.
If he's not the guy, then you trade him on that 5-year deal. We see it happen every single season. Quarterbacks that are floundering in one place.
And then you have an older quarterback who's making a ton of money, who's had his second time around, and who's going to want that contract, RJ?
It happens every single season. Every season, some quarterback doesn't work out somewhere and goes somewhere else.
A mid-30s quarterback,
yes,
who's washed out again.
A 32-year-old who's a third in the MVP, 3-time Pro Bowler.
No. Stop. See, now you're talking like Derek Carr's boyfriend. Okay, chill.
What did I say that wasn't true?
What I'm saying, see, look, you're looking at it from this perspective. You have to talk about it from 2 years from now. From that Derek Carr's perspective, not from right now.
It happens every single season.
You're just saying
every single season.
So who's that this year? Who's that this year then?
Well, it was Carson Wentz last season.
Who's that this year? Who's that this year?
It'll probably be.
Okay, let's move on. Thank you.
It happens every season.
Who's
All right, we got
exactly.
What's your last question for Cofield, Soto, before these ringers, radio hosts come in and take his job in Las Vegas? We've been hearing about. Right. This is your last chance.
Please help me out. This is real for my next job.
No, man, I don't know. I'm at a loss right now. Archie got me fired up again. I'm just excited.
Don't have a question for a guest?
No, man. We talked about everything I wanted to talk about.
How about what would you set? What would you? We don't know what the player movement is going to be, so you have a little flexibility here. But based on the schedule and based on what happened this year, and based on the fact that they were minus 65 in point differential, which I will explain in a second, is a bullshit number. What would you put their over/under win total at for next year? They won 10 this year. They were 7.5, 8. Going into this last year.
Yeah.
The division is tough. I mean, does Denver get a quarterback? Because that changes everything, right?
I would say 9.
We play what? Who do we play? We play the NFC North, right?
NFC South.
I was looking at this
yesterday.
Play NFC South and who's the other division that we play next season? NFC South. Because I know we're going to New Orleans.
I will tell you this: when you look down the ledger of games out of division, just like this year, there's a lot of shaky quarterback situations, unknown quarterback situations. They may solve it, but there's a lot of unknown quarterback situations. I'll just say, I don't know why I keep saying I'll just say it. If you post a 9 right now, I'll bet under.
Okay.
I know this is going to sound ridiculous. I think 8 is still the number. 8.5 would be a little risky for the books because they'd get a lot of over money. Now, that all said, if they fill some of the holes on their roster and the quarterback situation is stable or better, then I think they can win 10 games again. I think they can do exactly what they did this year. And I mentioned the point differential, which so many people lean on. Minus 65, it shows they're not that good. They were minus 66 against the Chiefs.
Yeah, it was 2 games.
2 games.
2 games. Now, plus 1 for the other 15 games. That ain't great. That's not a sign of like a 12-win team.
Yeah.
But they also suffered all those injuries. Gruden, Ruggs, Arnette, the offensive line was beat to shit. So I'm
Waller out for a third of the season.
And Waller having a down year for what, the standard he set. So I'm actually bullish on them. McDaniel's first year, I would be disappointed if they're at least not in the playoff hunt, and they should be at least at 9 wins. And I still think they have some upside. So I don't think what they did this year was entirely phony.
There you go, Soto. He asked your question and answered it for you.
That's why he's a professional.
I was trying to help out. I forget.
You can knock off one guy on the list, Cofield, if people you're worried about taking your job, because you might have just taken Soto's with that last question and answer. Well done.
Can have it.
More jobs. I don't know. I saw him smack you around pretty good there when you were all stumbly. So I don't know.
He gets loud. He gets real loud for sure.
I don't know if it was a complete loss for him. I think he kind of battered you a bit at the end.
It's like one of those point differential things. I got the W, but he got the
he got.
Did you? Okay.
He got a big. If there was like 16 segments.
What a heel move!
Archie's
he's like one of those like heel wrestlers from like back into the old territory days. It's like, nah, you didn't beat me. Like,
I try to have a rational, level conversation, and Soto just gets super emotional. And so I just lean back and let him win, so we can move on.
Just pull stuff out.
We've taken poor Cofield away from his beer for 45 minutes. Check out Cofield and Company every Monday through Friday on ESPN Las Vegas, 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern, late night pod. Follow him on Twitter as well at Steve Cofield. Steve, this was great. Thanks for coming on.
You guys are awesome. Thank you.